Welcome back to another episode of Hubler Automotive Group Coach's Corner. I'm your host as always, Reese Biley, and today I'm back joined with
Zach Reese. It's great to be back.
Yep, Zach, thank you for having back. And today we have two special guests with us. We have the girls and boys wrestling coaches, Mr. and Mrs. Tonte. How are you guys doing?
Good. Thanks for having us, guys.
Yep, thank you so much for coming on. And to start off, we'll start out with something fresh. You guys just had 3 alternates and 6 wrestlers advance onto a regional and a very tough sectional. Tell me what that's like in a very tough sectional, getting those many people to move on and what that means for your program.
Well, we're so young this year. I mean, and I've used it all year long, so I'm kind of tired of saying it, but the youth has been an issue. I think at sectionals we had 10 freshmen, sophomores out of 14 in the lineup. Which you just don't see that very often, but that bodes well for the future, real well. I'm going to give an example of how tough our route to the state is, and it's almost unfair, but there's a sectional up near Richmond at 106 where there was only 2 kids. A girl got a forfeit in the quarterfinals, a forfeit in the semifinals, and got pinned 12 seconds in the finals and is advancing to the regionals. The other sectional coming into that regional only had 2 kids at 106. So she would wrestle the 3rd placer for that regional, but it was a forfeit. So now she's going to get a forfeit first round of the regional and be at the semi-state. In our 106 bracket, Aiden Woods was seeded 3rd with a 21-6 record. The 5th seed and the 6th seed were all like 20 wins and less than 10 losses. So his whole bracket had kids of all 20 plus wins and less than 10 losses. So 2 kids in his bracket that were 20-8, 22-9 don't even make it out. And yet in another route, you have a girl wrestler that didn't even compete to the finals and has only wrestled 12 seconds in the tournament, and she'll be at the semi-state. So, now if you talk to the IHSA, they'll say, well, it's all cyclical. 10 years ago, the Newcastle route, which is where I coached, Perry and Warren both went through, was probably the toughest. The South route right now is ridiculous. All 6 of our qualifiers are going to have to beat somebody that's a state place winner in the first round of regional to advance. It's kind of unheard of. So we have a tough way to go ahead of us. Brody wrestled the best he's wrestled all year at heavyweight. He beat the Decatur Central kid that pinned him at conference, pinned another kid in the wrestlebacks, and his prize for advancing is Leighton Jones, the Brownsburg, number 1 ranked heavyweight, who's been ranked number 1 the last 3 years. So, we got our work cut out for us.
So I think we're going to alternate a little bit on the boys and girls team because it's also new this year. So with your guys' success, congratulations, by the way. With your guys' success, how do you think that will set up this new program for the future?
Well, I'll speak on the girls a bit. So I would say this year we did some trial and error things. Some things worked really well. Some things I think we'll twink for next season. Our goal right now is just to work with off-season time and try to get the girls more mat time. Get them probably one of the biggest feedback is more mat time with boys to prepare them for the higher level competition in the regionals and on.
Well, first off, congratulations on 2 successful seasons for the boys and girls. As coaches, how hard is it to kind of game plan a practice for having a lot more people in the room, a lot more people, not as much space? How hard is it to not only originate practice plans, but, get everybody ready for matches and just do all sorts of things with adding a program that was very successful?
Well, I think I'll let her talk about it because our original plan was to separate the girls and the guys. Yeah. But I'll let you.
And that is the feedback. So we have a governing body through USA Wrestling. They give resources to us to tell us what's been working in some communities and what isn't. And with it being so new, it's really more what is working. So in other programs, separating the boys from the girls has been successful. We noticed in our room that the girls did better when they had more mat time with the boys. They were a little bit more prepared. We did make some changes to mandatory and non-mandatory dates that I think we will eliminate next year. We're going to set the expectation more to the boys level. I think the girls needed that, but we have so many multi-sport sport athletes, girls that are involved with FFA and different sports. We didn't want to lose them, but inevitably we kept them. They stayed throughout the season, and a lot of the girls showed up to the non-mandatory practices, so I was really proud of that. But I think we'll change that next year.
So I'm sorry.
Well, we had also talked about, when I met with Mr. Doty, we were going to maybe use that last court, and we were going to open up the door, put a mat outside, and the girls could practice there. But we found that the girls practicing the same time as the guys, doing everything the same as the guys were doing, was what was way more beneficial.
So with that close connection with the boys and girls team, do you guys feel like they have kind of grown to support each other through each other's successes?
Oh, yeah, I would.
Absolutely. I think we shift gears when our state tournament was over. We had girls that they wanted to come and support the boys. They wanted to be part of pre-meet. I think they really long for their season to go longer, actually, because our season is over so early that they are still feeling part of it by being with the boys, because it's their practice part. It's just like a teammate.
Yeah, and they as well, there was several meets where if the girls didn't have anything, I got 6, 7, 8 girls going, can we ride with the team? Can we go? And they would actually come and sit with the team and support them.
Yeah.
So.
Kind of like you said, you have a very young team, and that's obviously a good thing for years to come. But another thing as coaches, you guys got to be looking forward to is, if I'm not mistaken, the middle school also had a girls program, didn't they?
Well, they have girls starting in the middle school, and it's developing and building. I'll let you talk. We have
about 6 middle school girls. They're doing really well. I've actually taken some of the high school girls over to watch the middle school girls compete. They've bonded a relationship, kind of like a mentor thing. I think that is really helping with getting our girls to stick through the season. As they get through farther in the season, the competition is a little harder. Sometimes they won't get exhibition matches after a duel because they're not on the varsity team. So we're encouraging them and going to like our local club events, and our high school girls are seeing the middle school girls there. So they're definitely getting that support and that encouragement and looking at an older role model of a wrestler.
And I would say that I talked to Tony Harris, the athletic director at the middle school, about developing our girls program at the middle school, and he's 100% behind taking the same avenue that our high school has taken and making a girls team. So that's the direction.
So talking back again, kind of how new the girls team is and everything, how do you feel people have taken leadership roles in that, since it's such a new thing? How do you feel those people have taken those leadership roles?
You want me to speak on it? So we have a couple girls, Jasleen and Ayla, are probably one of our top successful wrestlers. We also have a foreign exchange student who wrestled freestyle in Italy. So those that have experience, I think the other teammates really look up to, because they can see that they've had more mat time. Those two girls that wrestled in middle school, they were familiar with me because I was at the middle school when they were competing. So it was a familiar face. Them seeing me more now, just being approachable at the high school level and have known them for some time, I think really has helped them develop into the competitive level of the boys. Like Ayla, she can wrestle. She has wrestled in some of our varsity dual.
It was our varsity 113-pounder couple duels.
Yeah. So she really, Jazz and Ayla, I would say, the other wrestlers really look up to them because they have made it to that varsity boys level, and that is an elite group of wrestlers. There's only, I can name a couple. Southport has a couple. Penn High School, they have girls that are on their varsity squad, and it's a big deal. I mean, it's a huge accomplishment for a female to wrestle a boy and win that spot.
There will be 3 girls that placed or won the girls' state that we'll see here in 3 weeks at Banker's Life at the state. They'll make it. There's 3 really good girls at that level that can beat almost every guy in the state at their weight.
So obviously, kind of talking about the glimpse of Banker's Life was such a tough regional, and like you said, some of your guys are going to go in there kind of underseeded to what they're going to wrestle. How do you mentally prepare them and kind of let them know that seeding isn't everything? You go wrestle your best, go do your thing. Anything can happen.
Me and Brody just watched film on Leighton Jones, and the Perry Meridian kid who Brody lost in double overtime to, lost a 2-0 match to Layton just a week and a half ago, about a week before the sectional, so about 2 weeks ago. I have seen, I've been doing this for a while, and I have seen a lot of crazy things happen. I've seen kids that, I love him dearly, and this might be a public forum, but Toby Billerman had some issues. A Perry Meridian kid who's ranked second in state, state runner-up, and he did not wrestle in the sectionals last week, and he's done. Some things going on in his life so I have seen things happen to the best, where at this time of year, pressure, life things happen, and you lose them. And so you don't know. We're telling Brody, we have no idea where this kid's mental state's at right now. He's going to go play football at Iowa next year. So maybe his focus on wrestling right now is just like, I'm going to win a state title, but he's not pushing. I doubt it. Layton's a worker. But our goal is to keep the match tight, keep it close if we can. And then I've seen 4 or 5 matches. Layton, if you're watching this, don't listen. I've seen 4 or 5 matches over Layton's career where late in a match, he's tried something really not the smartest and put himself behind when he shouldn't have. Last year in the semifinals, Jacob Johnson's wrestling on one mat, and Layton's wrestling the Westfield kid that Jacob has pinned several times on the other mat. And out of the blue, Layton tried to throw him for no reason up by 3 and went to his back. And now the Westfield kid was going to win. And I'm like, Jacob, we just got to win this match or we're winning the state title. You don't have Layton in the finals. And Layton didn't make it. So, our preparation is, one, anybody can get beat. You don't know what's going on in their life. Okay, what we have to control is where we're at. Our technique, our game plan, where we're at mentally. What's going on with that kid, don't mean, bad feelings or ill feelings for any kid, but we're hoping that we're in the right frame of mind and they're not, And then, as I said, man, it's the old saying, everybody puts their singlet on the same way. So if you have prepared to the best of your ability, everybody has a shot.
So kind of to wrap it up, both of you guys can answer this. As a coach, getting your wrestlers recruited can sometimes be a hard thing, but that seems to be something that you have been very successful at. For example, you had Jude Barger go to Marion last year, Jacob Johnson, UND, et cetera, et cetera. Right. How hard is it kind of as a coach to get those connections and, get those things kind of going?
Well, I'll let her talk about the girls first real quick, briefly,
yep.
and then I'll say a few words.
Mine's pretty short and sweet. We hosted a camp for Indiana at Franklin Community in late summer. We had Trine University wrestling coach, and she ran a clinic for all ages. It gave exposure to a college coach to ask questions specifically. Who do you recruit? What are you looking for? And the girls asked those questions, and a seed was planted. And those girls that we keep talking to, hey, we have scholarships to wrestle. There's a lot of money out there for college wrestlers, female wrestlers, and it's really important that you know that there's opportunities out there. And they got to meet a Trine coach here at Franklin. Yeah,
and the girls aspect, there's so many new programs at the college level, all the NAIA schools, now even the Big Ten schools. Iowa has started a women's wrestling. So it's growing and growing and growing so fast that there's so many opportunities for scholarships, and these girls need to take advantage of it. From a guy's standpoint, I truly feel with my connections over all the years I've had kids at every level, D1, D2, NAIA, D3, so a lot of college connections across the country. If a kid wants to compete, we can get him into school. So as you said, you mentioned a couple kids that went from last year, and Tyler, before that, and so I truly believe that if a kid wants to compete at the college level, they're at the right place.
Well, Zach, thank you for coming back. Always appreciated when you're back here. Both the Tontes, thank you guys so much for being on and taking time out of your day. And that was another episode of Hubler Automotive Group Coaches Corner.
Hubler is proud to be the official sponsor of Franklin Athletics. Score massive savings on all your favorite brands. Plus, get our 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty included. For all auto needs, just click drivehubler.com. Let's go, Grizzly Cubs!